Welcome, fellow your pothead, Joe Pal Putty Man here, and today we are going to be reviewing the new movie Godzilla vs. Kong. So, first and foremost, before we get started on this, if you can, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button. This first part of the video will be a non-spoiler review. Even though this whole video is mainly a spoiler review, I'm going to go ahead and make it spoiler-free, so my regulars can go ahead and drop that like on the video, because my regulars are very nice about that. So I want to make sure that I don't spoil anything ahead. But I will be going ahead and doing a quick review and telling you what is good, and then going into why it's good. So first and foremost, again, the movie is called Godzilla vs. Kong. Clearly, it's exactly what it says it is. It's Godzilla vs. Kong. Now, here's the thing. Whether or not this movie is good is not really what I want to dig into, because it's an enjoyable romp. There were times I had a lot of fun watching it. But what I feel like is going to happen is it's more of eye visuals that should be used for the theaters, in my eyes. It's definitely a theater-going experience when it comes to this movie. So, with that being said, the question is it worth your money? Well, kind of, yeah. I mean, I honestly, I had no plans to see this in theaters, and I kind of regret that now, especially on how monumentally huge it is in perspective. It definitely feels like a theater-going movie for sure when it comes to Godzilla and Kong, just in general. Any of their movies, which does span upwards to, time and time again of it being on there. You have to understand, Godzilla and Kong both have a lot of movies, but just this movie alone connects to the shared universe of Godzilla right here, Kong Skull Island, and then Godzilla King of the Monsters. So with that being said, the major thing we need to look out for when it comes to this review is would you enjoy it? And honestly, unless you're going into this movie thinking it's an Oscar-winning plot, then this is not for you. This is not the Piano. This is not Schindler's List. This is Godzilla vs. Kong. It is an enjoyable ride in my eyes. It's really fun. But there's a lot of course, plot holes. There's a lot of things that I might feel that might have been rushed. So I felt I was pretty generous when it came to my point system for this. So just to wrap things up, what is my final score? Well, for Godzilla vs. Kong, I'm giving it a final score of 7 out of 10. And I'm actually being nice about this because I had fun whenever Godzilla or Kong were on the screen. Definitely an enjoyable time. There were some slow pacing things to give out story and plot that honestly does make sense now watching the trailers and everything. But at the same time, it's not plot that sometimes may be needed. And I'm going to go ahead in depth about that right now. So if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it. Come back to my review. But before you go and watch the movie, make sure you drop a like on the video, and make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get into some of the Easter eggs and some of the things that you might not have understood when it came to watching Kong versus Godzilla. So, first and foremost, and by the way, as I do this, I'm going to go through timestamps of all the locations that we need to go to when they were speaking about a certain thing. So, let's begin. Okay, the first thing I want to bring up is the Hollow Earth situation. So if you see the gentleman that's actually like I guess not the star, but like the good guy in the movie, he's actually deals with Hollow Earth. I'm going to say this right now. When this part happened in the movie, and I then ended up seeing the bad guy here, that bad guy, the one right here. When I first saw him, I pretty much knew, once he explained he was from Apex, and Apex was trying to do Hollow. He didn't seem like a nice guy. You can tell he's got the villain look in him. That kind of told me, okay, this guy's going to be in charge of Mechagodzilla. Hands down, 15 minutes in the movie, I called that. It was just pretty easy. They kind of just put it out there for us. And now we get to the first fight of the movie. between Godzilla and Kong. Now, of course, if you're not aware, I count out how many times they fight between each other, just between each other, Godzilla versus Kong, like the movie says, and this would be the first fight. Next, we have the Skullcrawler eggs. Nest, I'm guessing these are eggs, though, that Apex is putting out. But of course, at the time, I thought maybe they were just genetically messing with them, but come to find out, they were just using them to see if they can kill them with the Mechagodzilla. And then, of course, we reach about an hour and 2 minutes into the movie. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because when we got to the Skullcrawlers, we were already 15 minutes into the movie, and of course we get to this. By the way, I gotta say this, and that's why I actually set it up for here. This is by far one of the most fantastical shots. There's gonna be at least 2 more shots I'm gonna show you that I felt like were just wallpapers in their own. And the reason I bring this one up is just the sight of the rockets and then Kong flying up here is really, really cool. But then like the upside down mountains, I guess it's because of the hollow earth method. And so it's amazing. Okay, in about an hour and roughly around 5 minutes into the movie, we finally get our first shot of Mechagodzilla balled up. Which I like the way they did that to make sure you don't tell who it is. But of course, at this point, I knew it was Mechagodzilla. It had to be Mechagodzilla with some kind of metal thing, huge. And of course, we had like the dead bodies, which I knew that. At that point, I don't know why there were dead bodies, but then I realized, oh, that's the skull crawlers. So, with that being said, we ended up getting to this point where Mechagodzilla is revealed. And then 1 hour and 13 minutes into the movie, we finally find out that Mechagodzilla is powered by Ghidorah. Now, here's where I actually want to get into some Easter eggs and explanation of things. First and foremost, if you don't know who Ghidorah is, I'm going to go ahead and put a picture of the character on the screen. Ghidorah is one of the first 3-headed creatures that you see that Godzilla first fights. It's the 3-headed dragon. It was actually in the Godzilla King of the Monsters movie. Anyway, with that being said, what's going on in the movie, and I think it's a better, or what I was going to explain when it comes to Ghidorah is that there's something that's confusing to me, but some things I wanted to go and bring up. He's using Ghidorah to power Mechagodzilla, but of course we do see later on that the pilot, the Asian gentleman, the pilot, gets disconnected and Ghidorah takes over the Mechagodzilla's body. A lot of plot holes in my eyes in that situation. But I want to say something that wasn't pointed out in this when it comes to Ghidorah and why Godzilla got set off, in case no one understands it. Godzilla was going after Ghidorah because, if you remember, they said that anytime a Titan is around, or is around, like for example, when Kong came out of Skull Island, Godzilla was able to realize, or by able to sense him, and then ended up finding him on the water, and that's where we got the first fight at 40 minutes into the movie. But what people don't realize is that was a key to why Godzilla was attacking Apex, because they were using the skull of Ghidorah, which is a Titan, in order to not even just power Mechagodzilla, but also at the same time bring a reason for why Godzilla would be attacking the Apex. If you notice, it only attacked the Apex. It never was actually a bad guy. But the way that the marketing campaign was, they set it up to look like it, and of course Apex. Smart thinking in my eyes. Able to make 2 characters fight each other, but at the same time, it's kind of like the whole sleeping paradox or dreaming paradox, like where people wake up in a TV show and go, it was all a dream. It's kind of like what that is with this. It's like, oh, that was never really existed, which it does, though. They did fight, though. And then there's Kong's axe. I don't know if you guys noticed it, but I've got it freeze here so you guys can see it. Kong's axe actually looks like the spine of another Godzilla. Maybe it was the original Godzilla, or maybe Godzilla is missing one of his spikes on his spine. But he's actually using that as a hammer, which also you'll notice it. You know, if you didn't realize why it charged up when Godzilla shot at it when they were fighting Mechagodzilla, and that is primarily because of It's connected to him. If you notice, whenever he goes to shoot his beam out of his mouth, Godzilla, he uses his spikes to charge it up. So maybe at some point Godzilla was even stronger than that and got his spike ripped out. I'm not sure. And then we get into the second fight between Godzilla and King Kong. Now, this is also the final fight. So one reason why this didn't get like an 8 or 9 for me when it came to my review was because only giving us 2 fights, which they are good in longevity, definitely tells us they're still hovering on making big celebrities in movies like Millie Bobby Brown, or the guy from the kid from Deadpool 2, things of that nature. They just want to have talent in there, and it's like, okay, I appreciate it, but we're not here to see the talent. We're here to see the Godzilla and the Kong. By the way, I do want to bring up one thing. I particularly put it at the shot of that fight scene because if you're not familiar with King Kong, then I'm going to make you aware. The building he's standing on is something in Japan, of course. But the reason it's a big deal is because, if you're aware, the first King Kong movie actually has Kong on the Empire State Building. Okay? And it has him grasping it. I can't remember what actress he ended up grabbing. Let me find the original image. Here's the original image right here. Of Kong on the Empire State Building, and of course it's been parodied. It's a big deal. And this is actually a scene from the actual movie right here. But one thing we don't see is any time during Kong Skull Island, or even this, him being anywhere near the Empire State Building. And I think what happened is in return, they decided to go ahead and do it their own way by adding a building inside Japan that has the same look as the Empire State Building for him to grasp onto. And that visual right here, it's amazing. And then we end my review with the last shot that I wanted to bring up right here, which I thought was just an epic shot of Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. And this is probably the only shot I'm going to see. Again, if you want to see more of Mechagodzilla, then get HBO Max or go see it in theaters. But what do I think, wrapping all up? The reason, again, it got 7 out of 10 is, one, you're definitely not going to give it a 10 because the plot is not cohesive. So that would give it a 9. 8, then it got dropped to an 8 because of the whole situation where we only got 2 fights between Godzilla and Kong. Not much. We did get some awesome fights with Kong and some other monsters. So that's why it's still up there in the 8s as well. But then it drops down to 7. And the reason it drops down to 7 is because of plot holes of, like, for example, how would Ghidorah know how to actually control Mechagodzilla? Why was it important to make Mechagodzilla when it's gonna... I mean, I understand it's a bad guy and things of that nature, but like there were some things like with the skull, I can't think of the name. I'm having a brain fart with the skull crawlers. There was honestly no reason to have that. You know, revealing the Mechagodzilla didn't need things like that. Like, I think it was just for over-exaggeration. So, again, I had to give it a 7 out of 10, but I wanted to keep it above a 5 because I did enjoy it. I did quite enjoy some parts. When actually, it's funny, the only parts I liked were anything with Kong and Godzilla, and the only human I actually liked and enjoyed was the little girl that had the connection with Kong. Everyone else was just kind of boring. I'm a huge fan of Millie Bobby Brown, but even her role in this was just diluted in my eyes and boring. But anyway, guys, I want to know what you guys think. Comment below. They have pushed back the Mortal Kombat movie for April 23rd, so I'll still be doing that review. Plus, April 20th, we'll be doing 420 on 420. So make sure you hit the like button, but most of all, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that noti bell so you can be notified when all the new movies come out that I'll be reviewing, as well as the event of 420 on 420. And as always, I am Putty Man with Gamer Potheads, and do not forget, Robot Die Score. Peace out. I'll talk to y'all later.